Special election in Alabama tonight is making news all across the country.
Yeah, President Trump's power and prestige were on the line tonight, and his pick in a Republican U.S. Senate primary went up against a very controversial and very conservative challenger. President Trump's man lost. Roy Moore defeated Senator Luther Strange with 54% of the vote. Strange was appointed to the job when President Trump named Senator Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. Mr. Trump backed Strange, but anti-establishment and very conservative voters liked Moore better. Moore was once Alabama's Attorney General and was removed from office for ignoring a court ruling he did not agree with.
KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with more on this closely watched race and the fallout it may create. Dave.
Yeah, and you know, Steve Bannon, the former chief strategist of the White House, was the one of the main supporters of Roy Moore, the other candidate. So it was sort of billed as Trump versus Bannon. He was outspent by a multi-million-dollar advertising crescendo and outshined by his opponent's White House endorsements, most notably President Trump. But Roy Moore told a cheering crowd in Montgomery he has God on his side. So he won the GOP Senate primary tonight by a comfortable margin with the support of former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, and it was a loss for the president.
We've been separated by something that separation of church and state doesn't stand for. It doesn't separate us from God. Nothing could separate us from God.
Controversial former Alabama Judge Roy Moore, a far-right Christian conservative, has won the 2017 Republican Senate primary for the vacated seat of former Senator Jeff Sessions, now the Attorney General. And in Alabama, winning the Republican primary means you got about a 100% chance of winning the runoff. Moore was not endorsed by President Trump, who headlined a rally for Moore's opponent, Senator Luther Strange, who was appointed to temporarily fill the Sessions seat until an election could be held. Trump tweeted about his support for Strange and headlined a rally for him last week.
I'm thrilled to be here.
But to say the Trump endorsement of Strange was half-hearted would be an understatement, since he acknowledged Strange probably wasn't going to win.
And I'll be honest, I might have made a mistake.
On Monday, Vice President Mike Pence headlined another big rally for Luther Strange in Alabama.
I'm here tonight to say I stand with Luther.
But none of it made any difference. After riding to the polling place on horseback Tuesday morning, Moore sounded like he knew he was going to win big.
We're ready to get it over with.
And at his victory rally, Moore said he wants to work closely with President Trump, even though the president endorsed his opponent.
Together we can make America great. We can support the president. Don't let anybody in the press think that because he supported my opponent that I do not support him and support his agenda.
Moore was heartily endorsed by former Trump White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, the executive chairman of the alt-right Breitbart News, who was on stage Tuesday night at the Moore victory party, claiming Moore's victory will start a national political revolution from the right.
You're going to see in state after state after state people that follow the model of Judge Moore, that do not need to raise money from the elites, from the crony capitalists, from the fat cats in Washington, D.C., New York City, Silicon Valley.
But Moore has a checkered past. At a recent campaign event, he pulled out a gun to make a point.
I believe in the Second Amendment.
In 2003, he refused to obey a federal court order to remove a monument of the Ten Commandments from a courthouse in Alabama. As a result, he was removed from office as the Alabama Chief Justice. He was re-elected to the state Chief Justice position in 2012. And when the Supreme Court struck down Alabama's ban on same-sex marriage in 2015, once again, Moore resisted.
It's an aberration of our institution in Alabama. It violated Alabama law.
Moore defied the federal courts and ordered Alabama's probate judges not to issue marriage licenses.
I don't like to say anybody should be happy, but nobody's stopping them from living together. It's about the institution of marriage. And when that institution is destroyed, it's the basic building block for our society.
Now, tonight, President Trump tweeted congratulations to Roy Moore on his Republican primary win in Alabama. Luther Strange started way back and ran a good race. Roy, win in December. Now, tonight's primary winner, Roy Moore, will be running against Democrat Doug Jones, a former federal prosecutor. The runoff election is on December 12th, and the outcome may show just how far right Alabama will go. It's been a quarter century since a Democrat won a Senate seat in that state. Jeff, Lena, back to you.